hello. This is Irene with SaugaTalks. I'm here today on very summery, very hot day in Connecticut, and I have a fabulous speaker. So typically on SaugaTalks, as you may have seen already, we're talking about digital trends, we're talking about digital transformation, business and tech in general. And I have fabulous guests today with me, Nicolas Babin, who is a thought leader, who is a key opinion maker worldwide, recognized expert in digital technology. And I'm so excited to talk today to Nicolas about digital transformation. But beyond that, we're gonna touch on different technology trends. So we'll touch on AI and chatbots. We will talk about AR, VR, possibly, or anywhere this conversation will take us. So I'm so excited to welcome Nicolas to SaugaTalks. Hello.
Hello, thank you very much, Irene. Well, it's great introduction. So now I hope I'm going to be good, because otherwise I'm going to disappoint everyone.
I don't think this is happening, because what we do in SaugaTalks, yeah, this is a fluent conversation. And if you have something to say to the audience today, that's your chance. And if you don't have anything to say, that's okay too, because the beauty of SaugaTalks is that it's a fluent exchange, okay, of opinions.
That's perfect.
So exactly. How are you today? Where are you? You have beautiful backdrop out there. I'm envious.
Yes, I'm in the southwest of France, in a town called Arcachon, which is about an hour south of Bordeaux. So an hour from Spain, an hour from Bordeaux.
Idyllic.
Very
This
hot.
sounds idyllic. Stop, Nicholas, right there, because I'm gonna get too envious and we will have to stop recording. But yeah,
Connecticut is beautiful too, so don't worry.
all true. So, what are you busy with these days? Because a lot of my guests, we started this year as technology talk in a lot of ways, right? We talked about business a little bit, but guess what? Faster and faster, I sort of keep asking my question, same question, digital, are businesses thinking about digital? What's on the mind of business and just people, professional people today?
Yeah, so today, really, as you mentioned, digital transformation is in the mind of everyone. The number one reason is the fact that the drivers have changed, or the drivers have still be around, but COVID has made the drivers a higher priority than you have ever seen before. I've been in this business for many years. As you can see, I don't have a lot of hair, so I'm an older guy. But now, looking at the business, is I see, even like in January, I was talking to a CEO of a very large company in Europe. And he was telling me, yeah, we know we have to do digital transformation. Maybe we can just start with CRM. Is that digital transformation if I start with implementing a CRM? And I said, of course, it's a journey, digital transformation. That's what I want everybody to understand. And that journey starts with understanding what's required for the company, understanding what needs to be changed. In January, companies, they knew they had to change things, but they were thinking, yeah, it'll be down the line and we will start with small tools and everything. Digital transformation is not about tools. Digital transformation is about change management, and it's about employees. So drivers that I can see today, it's like suddenly employees cannot go to the office anymore. Suddenly the environment that employees and companies have been used to have changed tremendously. They have to ensure that teams are still managed, that values of companies are still the same and still followed and improved, if I could say, with people who are working remotely from the office. So which means that the drivers are now becoming very urgent. Suddenly, you need to make sure that you have collaborative tools in place that will ensure that everybody talks to each other, that very large files that normally you would be next to each other and you would send that, using a USB or whatever. Well, now you have to do it remotely. Security is a huge point, because the fact that everybody now can access the company network from around the world pretty much means that you have some areas of securities that will need to be improved, because if a hacker follows one of your employee, or if a hacker realizes that within the security angle there is an area where the hacker could enter the system, then of course then it's a problem. So digital transformation in this case means looking at the drivers. Drivers are now obvious. People, companies have to change. They have to get their business online. They have to change from selling boxes to selling solutions. They can still obviously sell boxes, but they can sell boxes using the e-commerce platforms. Using it's everything is changing: sales, marketing, finance, customer support, management. So that's the first area that's really important, and that's one of my key role today, is to make sure that at least my customers understand that with this COVID pandemic, the world will never be the same again. Because one day we will have a vaccine, and one day we'll feel safe. But 100 years ago there was the Spanish flu, right? Which had nothing to do with Spain, by the way. but anyway, it was called the Spanish flu. For 100 years, we've had on and off the SARS. We've had many other diseases that were important, but not as serious as what we've seen with COVID. So the world today has changed because the world is very small. We were talking before about where you're from in Russia. I've been to Russia many times. Maybe we know people in common. It's just like you get on an airplane, maximum 12 hours later, you're at a place. If you're in Europe, an hour and a half later, you're so the world is becoming, and we see with COVID, one area in China, one small town, well, small compared to the Chinese, obviously, size, but one town in China, that suddenly the whole world has a virus, right? So the drivers, going back to my first point, is becoming more and more important. Companies have a duty to make sure that their employees are safe, right? In order to do that, they need to create an environment where employees can work remotely and still be very very good at their job, very professional, and still follow what has been planned with the company. So that's the number one point, which I try to, and it is becoming much easier now because of COVID than it used to be in the past. I mean, I remember about 6 months ago, even more than 6 months ago, September time, almost a year ago now, a big CEO was telling me, as long as I'm CEO, nobody in my company will ever work from home, because that's vacation in hiding.
Yep. I know this sentiment very much so, and I have a few examples of companies who said we're never gonna go remote, and they switched overnight, literally overnight, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's it. They switched overnight, and that's why I'm saying. And so even if it was in their brain, knowing that they had to do it, they knew it was like they were against the wall. Let's do it. So that's the first point, is really the drivers, and ensuring at least the change management is empowered for everyone. The second process that I work a lot on exactly how we make this happen. So when we had time before COVID, I used to follow a very simple, if I could say, but very efficient way of understanding digital transformation. The first one is I used to understand how companies would work, and I'm talking about all type of companies in the chemical world, in consumer electronics, agricultural, everything. Doing kind of an audit of the work that people would do. So looking at processes, looking at tools they were using, looking at the company's culture, because that is extremely important when you do digital transformation. And then once was that done, I would do, okay, where would you like to go? So talking to managers, but also talking to employees, because it's really important that everybody embraces the need for digital transformation. So then I would understand, where everybody wanted to go. And then the third step, I will do a gap analysis of between what exists and what needs to be done. And with that gap analysis, then I could do a roadmap of, okay, first step, in general, that used to be that. First step, we need to train people about change management. Change is something that people hate the most, including myself, including everyone. You have the way you work, the way you buy things, the way you enjoy yourself. It's you don't like to change it. Yeah, there's a space in the world you'd like to go because you enjoy the beach there or whatever. It's hard to make you change. So change management is in general very high up on my list of priority. But what's really important is that employees are at the center of all the decisions that the companies will take. Of course, the CEO needs to have his vision in place, and the CEO needs to drive and lead that vision, obviously. But behind that, as long as employees understand where he wants to go and how we're going to do it, then you're very likely to succeed. I've seen CEOs saying, okay, I'm going to implement all these tools and people just have to change the way they work. But you cannot do that when you have a sales guy who's over 50 years old. He's been extremely successful his whole life, working with Rolodex. In his head, he knows his best customers. He knows when he has his birthday, when he has his wedding anniversary and everything. But that's something, obviously still now, you cannot transfer what a sales guy has in his head into a computer. So asking a sales guy who's been around for over 30, 35, 40 years to change his work or his way of working is pretty much impossible, right? And you don't want to lose that sales guy because he's providing probably 80% of your revenue, right? So it's working with that sales guy and say, okay, this is how you work. This is how your Rolodex works. Why don't we work together on implementing a tool that's going to help you, rather than having everything in your brain? And I'm over 50, so sometimes I forget about birthdays or anniversaries and things like that. So salespeople will probably be the same, but having a tool that like Salesforce or any type of other CRM tools that will help them and will help them also work with others. For example, in sales, if I take again that example, you have pre-sales people who start by cold calling and everything, enter the information into the CRM, and then the sales guy picks up the phone, or meet with the new customer. And it's a journey. And the tools are here to ensure that nothing is forgotten and that also that human is augmented. And that's a very important point, because I know we talk about AI a lot, but for me, AI is really about that. It's about human augmented. I've been involved with AI since 1996, when I was the head of Sony Robotics division for Europe. And I remember the first time I showed Aibo, which is still, because I still have 4 at home, enjoying myself with them. And the first time I got my Aibo dog, because it was AI was for artificial intelligence and BOT for robot. So it was a robot dog. And the first time I got one out, people freaked out. And they said, we have a robot with artificial intelligence. It's going to replace us.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So here, I've always positioned it by saying, no, it's actually human augmented. So for a robot dog, what I would say, and people would see that, and especially in Japan, where we launched it first, you have the Japanese population is becoming older and older, and you have a lot of people who live on their own in small apartments and everything. Aibo is the ultimate entertainment and caregiver for an older
Companion,
person.
I guess, right? Companion, keeping you.
And that's what it means in Japanese, Aibo. Aibo means companion. Yes.
Here we go.
Fantastic. So Aibo, we coined the word from artificial intelligent robot, but also it means companion. And so it augments human. You're a 90-year-old woman, you fall down, you cannot access your phone. Aibo, please call. Of course, now you can say, hey, Google, or whatever. But you remember, by the way, saying, hey, Google, my phone is just calling someone. It obviously always works. But this time, we were able to have this companion and this helper. And so human augmented is extremely important. And that's why I push forward in any digital transformation process. Say we're putting together tools, but the tools are really the last leg of the process. First leg, as I mentioned, is drivers, it's employee change management. And then after that, it's based on all these, gradually including tools that are going to augment my performance, right? Because I don't remember, because I forget, because I have so much in my mind, and suddenly, having a CRM saying, oh, by the way, call this guy today because that's his anniversary, and I'm sure you will appreciate it. I'm augmented, right? I'm not replaced because I'm the one who has the contact with the guy. And that's what's important. And we'll talk about AI and AI as a service when we talk about trends. But this is what digital transformation is all about. It's about people number one. And this I always and sometimes some CEO feel that my comment is strange, because when we talk about digital transformation, the first word is digital. So they think we implement a tool, but digital transformation is really mainly about people and ensuring that people are going to perform still using tools. So that's my second point.
Yep.
And my last point, and if I talk too much, you tell me, because I'm passionate, as you can tell, about my subject.
This is what we do here at SaugaTalks. Exactly. Passionate people talking about topics important to them. Sure.
And the third point, after you've done the drivers, you've done the process, the third point, you look at technology. And this is where we can enter into a little bit of detail. The technology that I push forward the first is always, in general, a technology that is now becoming more common, but that companies have not started yet, and it's big data. Because everything that I'm going to talk about in terms of trends is based on data. Data is the key of everything today. So you need to have a possibility of collecting everything coming from emails, videos, photos, CRM, any tool that you're going to be using, Excel, Word, again, anything. And of course, all these tools that we've been using for years, they are working today in silos, right? Yes, of course, if you use Microsoft Office, your email can be linked to Word, can be linked to Excel and everything, but it's one thing. Your videos, your photos, your CRMs, everything is different. So having a big data strategy allows you to have a database that will allow you to have a lot of volume, velocity, variety as well of data. It's ensuring that at least you have a place where you can collect, you can analyze, and you can organize. That's number one for me of the digital transformation solution. In general, some companies already have that strategy in place, and they have big databases, NoSQL type of databases, not only SQL type of databases, and we work after that on looking at how, for example, if they want predictive data, then how can we put together an artificially intelligent model? So working with data scientists, right? So what I see today is some companies are ready for that, but some companies are a bit scared, thinking, oh yeah, what am I going to do with AI? Why AI? So if I'm in e-health, AI is very important because AI will predict for patients, for example, if they have diabetes, it will predict the glycemia. It will predict if you're in hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, if you're going to have a coma, if you're going to be, what kind of problems you can have, because diabetes encompasses quite a lot of problems. But that's just one example. And so what I suggest companies to do today, rather than being scared of saying, okay, we're going to start AI, AI, wow, big word. But you also have AI as a service, meaning you only use models for artificial intelligence for just what you need. It's like the cloud, cloud is also extremely important. Big data, cloud, AI, everything goes together. Why is cloud so important? Is because your business today is, with some data, but maybe 10 days down the line, you have something huge happening, and it's going to be times 10, times 100, times 1,000. If your servers don't allow that, and or if you want to open an office anywhere in the world, with cloud, you can just choose for example, if you use Amazon Web Services or Google, you just use the geography where you want your data to be, and you click on it, and in about 10 minutes, it's done, right? A little bit more sometimes, but that's the marketing thing around it. So, what's important to understand that when you start talking about trends, and I'll continue about trends, but I don't want people to think that it's a revolution. It's not at all a revolution. It's an evolution, meaning that we have tools available today that will allow us to continue our business and to ensure that our business is successful in the years to come. 5G is the same thing. I see the trend, and people are very scared of 5G. It was the same way when we launched 3G. I was at Sony at the time, or when we launched 4G, and now that we're launching 5G. It's new, so it's scary, right? And you have a lot of people explaining things that are not true about 5G, but 5G, again, is not a revolution, it's an evolution. Would you go back to looking at a TV today or at a VCR today? You remember those VCR with the cassettes?
Really?
And the quality was at the time was fantastic because we didn't know anything else. But today, compared to 4K or 8K, it's unbelievable. So why would you have a mobile phone that will allow you to look at something like VCR quality when you can have a 5G looking at 4K or 8K, and so still what you're used to on a daily basis, right? So technology and our lives are evolving. So around it, architecture of technology needs to evolve, and that's why we have 5G. Once you have your big data strategy, obviously you can start working on extended reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. Obviously, mixed reality encompasses all these, but it's better for training. You're looking for engagement, right? We can talk about gamification, and that will be there for another 3 hours. So I think I'm going to be very careful.
I have time.
Gamification is all about engagement. But once you start being fun, and once you start having, like for example, surgeons in e-health, again, surgeons trying to get trained on operating on a brain, the most complicated operation that exists today, brain operation. Well, now they can train with AR, augmented reality. So, they have robots that can be more precise than your hands because your hands always shake or anything. And they can see also with virtual reality and augmented reality how the brain and how your skull basically is built. That's something that's unbelievable. So, and again, you don't want to have everything done at the same time. What you want is start with your big data strategy, then you have all the data coming from everywhere, and then you can decide, maybe this year, I'm going to implement all my virtual reality projects. That's one thing. Then you can say, maybe this year I'm going to implement my robotic things. We talked about robots. They've been around for a long time, but robots, you're going to see them more and more. Industrial robots, and again, robots augmenting people, robots that can do all the mundane work that people don't like to do. Agriculture, you can have robots that are going to pick the weeds. I'm sure you talk to a farmer, that's the last thing he wants to do in the morning when he wakes up, say, oh, today I have to pick the weeds. If you have a robot with GPS that can really tell where the weeds are and picked it up, that's human augmented, because what is the farmer going to do? He's going to focus on the job that he likes to do, that is going to bring more money to him, whilst a robot will do the job he doesn't like to do. So that's, we can talk also about 3D printing. I see a lot of companies telling me now, I want to implement 3D printing. 3D printing is improving tremendously. A year ago even, it was expensive, it was complicated to put in place. Now, you can go and buy a 3D printer, you can go and buy the material that you put inside the printer. It's very simple, and you can print anything from keychains or houses or boats. I've seen some films that are just absolutely unbelievable. Um, IoT is something that also I see, Internet of Things, connected objects. You know, we talked about 5G. 5G will allow objects, many more objects to be connected than we have seen today. You know that today you have more objects connected than human connected. Well, 5G is going to be also will help to get more objects, and meaning that at least our life is going to be less complex. For example, you go on holiday and you want to make sure that at least your plants still have water. Well, you have a sensor inside the dirt that will send to your cell phone saying, it's becoming a bit dry here, and you use your cell phone and you get water inside. I mean, it's just an example, but you see what I mean. This is also a trend that you can see. And the last one that I wanted to discuss, and I hope I'm okay in terms of time, it's computer vision, because we see that also more and more. And a lot of my customers ask me also what kind of technology they can put in place, not only for security, but also, you know, face recognition, in order to allow certain people in the company to access certain areas of the company. The vision that we can see today, the fact that you and I, you know, you in Connecticut, me in France, with the quality that we see today using Zoom, it's just becoming absolutely superb. And that also is something that companies can put in place. So that's, you know, in a nutshell, in about half an hour, I think I've been talking, or a little bit more. It's about digital transformation. It's the drivers, it's the process, and it's the technology. And then it's à la carte. You're at the restaurant. What do you want to start with? And what do you want to finish with? And that's why I always try
I'm
to.
sold. I'm sold, Nicholas. You know what? I hope a lot of the companies over there, you know, listening to this. Absolutely. So this is pretty concise. 30 minutes is nothing, because again, like, this is a really big talk.
Trying to go fast.
Let me ask you this, you know, what we seeing as technology advocates, evangelists, right, at some level. So it used to be in a world where you need to explain and over-explain, like what you did, the value of technology, the value of innovation, that is very tangible, right? And kind of you can feel and implement in your business, and you can see result, ROI, quickly. So I guess COVID and the current environment helps, like you said, to be natural driver, right? Moving companies in terms of technology, culture, people, processes, right? And all that, right? In one place. Let me ask you this. So this will become a little bit easier to convince someone, right? The life itself convincing, right? Those skeptics out there.
Exactly. That's what that's what I said about drivers.
So my question though, once they're there, what kind of difficulties, problems, challenges they face? And what do you recommend, like a principle at high level, right? How do you face like this first barrier, second and third, right? Because it cannot be overnight. So
that's a great question, because you're absolutely right. There's always the same barrier, and I see it in all my projects. And the main barrier is change management. So what and 95% of the time, I have CEOs telling me, "Oh, don't worry, my people, you know, I know them well, and I know they're going to follow us, and it's going to work." I can tell you, it will not. Companies need to invest in change management programs that will make sure that employees are at the center of all the decisions, but they also understand why. You know, it's not imposed on them. And that really is the first barrier. Implementing a technology today, I don't say it's easy, but it's done on millions times every day worldwide. You know, you have Chinese companies implementing companies, you have the Russian companies, you have French companies, American companies. Everybody's implementing new technologies today. It's that to me is the easiest. Once you have done the change management and you really understand where you want to go from where you are today to in the next 5 years time, because in general with technology, you know, 3 to 5 years, it moves so fast that you don't know what you're going to see. So I always put a plan in place for 3 to 5 years. But once you have done this and once you have this understanding of where you want to go, implementing technology is really the easiest. The main challenge that you face is the change management.
You know what? You almost precluded my following questions, okay? In a way that, yes, yeah, definitely you brought the big picture to our sites again, with the values, with particular benefits to look forward. And you talked about barrier, which is, I hear, number one barrier, right? Change management,
Yes.
good to know. So how about the future? How about what's next, in a way that, like you're saying, company readjusting as we go, company reinventing themselves as we go, right? So what do you see is going to happen, and where is this light at the end of the tunnel, in a way that life is not going to be the same, but what's kind of optimistic promise the digital technology brings to all of us, to summarize our talk today?
I'm actually extremely optimistic about what's going on today. I know people are going to think he's the French guy a bit crazy, but I'm extremely optimistic because we're changing our world. And I mean, and this is a big issue. The planet is not going well. We have these global warming. I mean, and again, I know people will not agree and everything, but facts are here. So why do we have global warmings? Because we have too many airplanes, because we have people who don't really pay attention to using plastic, because many reasons. And I'm not here to talk about issues that people could disagree and stop listening to me because of that. But what I'm saying today, and that's the reason why I see it as a plus, and that's why I'm optimistic, is since March, our business has changed, and for everyone, even for me. So normally I used to travel regularly, and that really made me sick sometimes. And I was trying to optimize. If I go to a place, I'll try to have at least 10 or 15 meetings, because I don't want to go just for one place. Back in the 90s, I used to go to Tokyo for a 2-hour meeting working for Sony. That's insane. You don't want to do that anymore. So I think what we realize is that tools, and this is what we're also why it's great it's happening now. We are in a world of disruption. You have fantastic startups in this world today, and COVID has managed to get the disruption and the intelligence of people just thinking, wow, now that our world has changed, we need to find new ways, and we need to invent new ways. And that's why I think I've read somewhere that during COVID, it's unbelievable the number of startups that have started. Obviously, a lot of startups have also died because customers have changed and everything. But startups that have been able to pivot and change and realize and understand what technology we needed to continue operating on, have made it possible. And thanks to that, we see. I'm sure you've seen it in China, for example. Shanghai, during COVID, suddenly the sky was blue, right? It was because there was no pollution anymore. So now that you have seen this, another instrument, right? It's now back to sky not blue anymore in Shanghai, but so I think more and more now, I'm saying before, is that people are going to improve where efficient and better for the planet.
I'm having a problem a little bit with the audio here. Yeah, last couple of sentences, unfortunately, it was breaking up.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat?
Yes, couple of sentences back, please.
So basically what I'm just saying is with the new technology, we have realized that we can still be efficient in our job, working free, and also saving the planet at the same time, because not only we're going to travel less, in confinement.
My apology. Yeah, I only hear that we're gonna travel less, so something maybe with Wi-Fi or something technical difficulty.
So no, I was just saying we're going to travel less, and we're going to ensure that the environment is protected more, because when we were in confinement, animals came back. Some animals we
Oh, yeah.
hadn't seen in a long time. Even for me,
Oh,
in
yeah.
southwest of France, we had some birds that I had not seen in years. The sky became blue in areas where it hasn't been blue in a long time. So this technology allowing us, in general, you and I would have gone to Connecticut, and you would have interviewed me, and I would have had other meetings. I would have been on an airplane. I would have, uh, it was not good for the planet. At least today, what we're doing, we have zero carbon. I mean, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
because of our computer energy, but that's it. And that's why I'm optimistic for the future.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Nicolas, so very much. So I guess we're going to be building that beautiful future together.
That'd be
Absolutely.
great.
So I appreciate your time very much. I will post the snippets of this conversation on SaugaTalks channel. I will apply my energy to make sure people see it, because there is a very inspiring point here in terms of that. Yes, we are in this new world. Yes, it's changing, and yet people are at the center of any changes, including applying change management in companies or organizations. So Nicolas,
Absolutely.
thank you so very much. You're always welcome to come back. I'm sure we'll have few more
Anytime.
to discuss. Thank you.
Anytime
Appreciate
you
your
want to
time.
invite me back, I'm always available.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Irene.
Yeah.